And so don't be tempted by the devil, as Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden. Don't be tempted to eat the forbidden fruit. Don't be tempted to believe that there are no consequences for your actions, and that if you just do whatever you want to do, things will be fine. They weren't fine for them. They got kicked out of the garden, and they're not fine for us. Look around you. People are confused. People have been going their own way, expressing themselves, living their best life, choosing which reality to believe in for decades. Have things got better in society? Are people more respectful? Are people kinder? I mean, people talk about tolerance all the time, but are people actually kind? People talk about a lot of things on Twitter, but do they actually play them out? In fact, let's read Paul's words, or predictions, let's say, about what things will be like in the end times. And so this is from the Apostle Paul's second letter to his co-worker, Timothy, when he's writing to him to give him advice on how to be a good teacher. And he's talking about the end times. And I think if we read through this, we can see that this is pretty much how people are acting today. Listen to the specific words, because the thing with Paul and a lot of people who are prophets, their language is very precise. That's kind of one of the hallmarks of divine communication. It is very, very precise. So let's listen. But understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty. For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness, but denying its power. Avoid such people, for among them are those who creep into households and capture weak women, burdened with sins and led astray by various passions, always learning and never able to arrive at a knowledge of the truth. Wow. Always learning and never able to arrive at a knowledge of the truth. Doesn't that sum up people today? We're so spiritual, we have to keep learning. We need more knowledge, give me more. Never arriving at a knowledge of the truth, just more knowledge. It's an addiction almost. Treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness, but denying its power. How true. That's spiritual, not religious, by the way. Having the appearance of godliness, but denying its power. Denying God, but claiming that you are holy or spiritual and putting yourself up on a pedestal. Like who? Like Satan. Climbing up the ladder, trying to ascend. That word from the New Age, ascend, ascension. We're all trying to ascend. We're trying to ascend the planet. Well, let's read about ascension in the Bible. This is another vignette describing Satan from the prophet Isaiah in chapter 14, verse 12. How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven above the stars of God. I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the Mount of Assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you were brought down to Sheol, the grave, to the far reaches of the pit. Isn't that interesting? Morning star, day star, Lucifer, the Latin Lucifer. I will ascend to heaven. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. That is the New Age, is it not? ascending ourselves up into heaven, building our own towers of Babel to reach God, to become gods, in fact, to set ourselves up like the Most High, the gods of our own life, instead of putting ourselves in the right place, below God. And that takes humility. All of this takes humility. Prayer takes humility. Reading the Bible takes humility. Stopping your scoffing takes humility. Looking at reality in the face takes humility as you put down all of your barriers and all of your biases and actually look at this stuff full on, rather than pretending that your intellectual snobbery is intelligence and wisdom, when in fact it's just ignorance. It's ignorance. If you're not prepared to look at these things, then you're ignorant of them, aren't you? And we have all been in that place. This isn't a judgment. We've all been in that place of ignorance. And yet we are beckoned forth by the power of God, by the power of the Holy Spirit, that is knocking on the door. Jesus is knocking on the door of a lot of people's lives and saying, hey, why don't you just look at this? Why didn't you learn about me? Why didn't you read about me in the New Testament? Why didn't you look at the Old Testament? Look at the poetry, look at the prophets. Listen to the people who had a relationship with God. The Apostle Paul, Jesus, the prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Moses. Listen to what they say, and you will hear God speaking. You will hear God calling you to humility, to let down your pride, and to take up your armour of God, to take up your authority, and to start praying for this world that we all love. Start praying for humanity, the people in our lives who we love, and of course even praying for our enemies, and to bless those who curse us. So I hope that gives you some insight into what we are up against, where we are, and what our task is. When we partner with God, we are unstoppable. When we bury our heads in the sand, Satan has won. So I'll put all the Bible references below, and I will speak to you again very soon.